Welcome back to the Tea Coffee Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Matthew,
I'm a depressed Packers fan.
and today it's October 18th, and we're just gonna go over some Week 6. Right now it's 9:13 to second quarter of the 49ers game.
Oh wow, I haven't even checked that. I'm still kind of reeling from the events of today, but we'll get to that in a bit. I guess first on the docket today is Le'Veon Bell and what to expect from him tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's gonna play tomorrow night because isn't he not cleared? Don't you have to wait like 6 days before joining a new team because of the COVID guidelines?
I'm pretty sure. So he's not playing tomorrow night, but what would you expect from him the rest of the season?
I don't know. I think it's gonna be. I think it's going to hurt both Clyde Edwards-Helaire and his value because they're both good running backs, and I think it's going to turn into maybe like a 60-40 split with Helaire getting most of the receiving work. But I do think that Le'Veon Bell is going to get a lot of the like rushing work as like not a bell cow. He's going to get a lot of the rushing work. Helaire hasn't been as effective this year. And I think Bell's can get all the goal line carries. Just because Helaire, I think he's like one touchdown out of like 10 attempts in the 5-yard line. So he's just not effective in the goal line. So I think Bell's going to get those carries.
True. And they're kind of a awkward fit together. They're both quick starters, so they're more suited for gap runs, which require you to be able to stop and start immediately. But like you said, I think it'll be a 60-40 split between the two of them. I'd be interested to see who comes in on first and second and who comes in on third. That would just, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that Helaire would be more of a receiving back. So that'd be like more third down or like, I don't know.
Le'Veon Bell's still a good receiving back, and he was criminally misused under Adam Gase, as pretty much everybody is at this point. Like when Frank Gore, basically, you get as much production out of Frank Gore as Le'Veon Bell, your play calling is awful.
Yeah, I just found the stat. Like everyone was saying Helaire is so good week 1, but he just fell off the map. And like even though he's averaging 15 points a game, he's ranked 51st in efficiency. So like he's kind of needed Bell almost.
Yeah, they faced some tough defensive lines too. There's some tough run defenses. New England, Baltimore. But Edwards-Helaire, I still believe in him. I think he's just really good. And rookie running back coming in, they always just insert themselves into the top 10 running back conversation almost immediately just because they come in on fresh legs.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about next?
This is kind of a sobering subject, but I think from last week we have to talk about Dak's injury.
Yeah, that was just a brutal injury. He's out for the season, but I think the good news is that from the medical reports that I've read, he's back. He's going to be back by week 1, and there's a really low re-injury risk. So yeah, that's good long term. But yeah, Andy Dalton. Do you think he's worth a start in normal leagues or?
I actually, if you're in like a 12 to 14 team league and you're streaming quarterbacks, like you have a rotation of 3 guys, Dalton definitely deserves to be in that rotation because the Cowboys have an absurd amount of weapons. CeeDee Lamb is looking like the steal of the draft at this point. He is absolutely phenomenal. Michael Gallup is a beast, and Amari Cooper is a top 10 receiver.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that? Because Dalton, first of all, he isn't that bad of a quarterback. Everyone's portraying him, he's like a trash quarterback, but he led the Bengals to the playoffs for like 5 years in a row. He's like, the Cowboys are lucky because he's one of the best backups in the entire league. So like, how do you think this is going to affect the values of some Cowboys position players?
I honestly don't even think it'll be that much because it's going to be the same. They still have a lot of mouths to feed. They have, I didn't even mention Zeke. And going from Dak to Andy Dalton, while it's a downgrade, I mean, look, I've been rough on Dak, but my goodness, I admit I teared up a little bit when he got carted off. That was just awful. But
yeah, Dak was proving everyone wrong. His numbers, he was on pace for like 6,000 yards or something, which is just mind-boggling.
I mean, look, the numbers themselves, I think, are more a product of, well, I want to say more, but I don't think he'd be throwing near 6,000 yards if you're playing anywhere else except maybe Kansas City.
Yeah, that's true.
I was happy for him because he was probably going to shatter Peyton Manning's single season yards record if he played a full season.
Yeah, going back to the question I asked about like how it affects people's values, I think that it would help Zeke's value because I think it would run up more, and I think it would actually help Amari Cooper's value because we saw when Andy Dalton came back, I think 4 out of his 11 targets were to Amari Cooper. So I think he's going to rely on the number one wide receiver. But I think that the people who's going to go down is Michael Gallup. I don't think Andy Dalton's a receiver to support, as his quarterback, to support 3 fantasy receivers.
I still think it'll be close just because they're all phenomenal. Just all Cooper, Lamb, Gallup, Cedric Wilson is pretty awesome, and he's their 4th option. And again, going from Dak to Dalton hurts, but Dalton, there's a thing called the Dalton line for a reason. If your starting quarterback is better than Andy Dalton, you're good. If he's worse, you need to move on. But Dalton is just good enough to where you're like, okay, he's a capable starter.
Yeah, he's mediocre. I think the Cowboys are still going to make the playoffs.
I mean,
the division's terrible, but
the Cowboys, like, they should still probably be favored to win the division.
Yeah, I mean, the division's just terrible, so it doesn't mean much.
They're so bad.
All right, what do you want to talk about next?
I guess we'll come through a few of the games.
Let's see.
Maybe I'll just get my Packers out of the way. I really am just.
I want to hear this. I've seen some of the rant in the league we're in. I just want to hear it on camera.
This is just a total crap the bed week, and like literally nothing good happened. Literally nothing. Aaron Rodgers, after playing like a top 3 MVP candidate, was just bad this week. As a Rodgers fan, it sucks to admit, but he was pretty bad. He got rattled a lot. There's another thing. The offensive line was not good, and our franchise left tackle, but David Bakhtiari got hurt. So yeah, nothing good. We couldn't run the ball. Our receivers were not very good. Adams had one play later. I mean, it was still mostly garbage time, but it was one on a back shoulder where he thought he was still in bounds, where he just kind of caught it and he just thought he was stepping out of bounds. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're 3 yards out of bounds. Don't celebrate. Anyway, and then our defense is horrible. We still aren't that good against the run. Our secondary is bad. Maybe this is a thing with Matt LaFleur, because last week after our bye week, we played the 49ers on Sunday Night Football and we got obliterated. So maybe this is just a one-off voodoo. I'm inclined to think it is, but gosh, that was so bad.
Yeah, I was surprised that Rodgers has 2 picks and 1 pick six.
Well, the first one wasn't good by him, but Jamel Dean, the Bucs D-back, he broke on that. That was an amazing play by him, just because from his film study, I'm sure he knew Adams would be breaking outside. So by the time Rodgers let it out, Dean it just was like he was right there. And while the second pick wasn't Rodgers' fault, it was deflected. Rodgers probably should have had a couple more. He was just off.
I guess one thing that's kind of interesting is Ronald Jones. We thought his value would tank with Leonard Fournette, but so far he's had 3 good weeks with like 100 yards rushing. Today he had, I believe, 26 points. So he's had, let me pull it up quickly. He's had weeks of 18, 15, and 26 points. Fournette's been out all of those weeks, but what do you think of Ronald Jones going forward?
Once Fournette comes back, I think it's back off of Ronald Jones. But because in the 3 weeks where Fournette did play, he had 10 points each of those games. So in the Tampa backfield is still kind of a split because they also have Keyshawn Vaughn and Shady McCoy to feed.
Yeah, I guess. But like, I don't know. You don't think that Jones has done enough to show that he's a starter?
If Fournette is out, I think so. If not, I would be wary because this is something as I watch the Bucs games lately. Ronald Jones might be frustrating to Tom Brady because Brady loves having a James White in the backfield, and Keyshawn Vaughn hasn't gotten as much playing time, and Ronald Jones, he's dropped a fair amount of passes.
He's not the best pass catcher. Yeah, he's not the best pass catcher at all. But I think running wise, he's probably top 20 in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Moving on. Derrick Henry absolutely went off. Holy cow! He's just in beast mode. He's not even human.
This is pretty much the quintessential Derrick Henry game: 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 90+ yard touchdown run to boot. After kind of a slow start to the season, which most of his fantasy points were just from getting goal line carries, he was finally kind of able to break free.
Yeah. But then I don't know, something that was disappointing for me was Jonnu Smith. He's been good all year, and then I started him because Darren Waller was on a bye, 2 points. And it's like, I don't know if it's just me, but like it seems that tight ends have been so inconsistent this year. Like other than Kittle and Kelsey.
That's true. That's why
I noticed the same thing, or
that is true. I kind of stream my tight ends. I think this week from Jonnu Smith is a fluke. He's still, I mean, I'd argue he's even a top 10 tight end in football right now. He's an absolute monster, and he's bound to get more targets going forward. But kind of like with the Packers, while they may have crapped the bed for you this week, I still think they'll bounce back. And he also left this game with an ankle injury, I believe,
Smith?
in the third quarter. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Do you want to talk about Packers and tight ends? Robert Troyan, he came out of, I've heard rumblings about him, but then he just came out of nowhere last week. He had 3 touchdowns and 35 points. So as a Packers fan, what's up with him? And what can we expect as a fantasy owner?
Well, Rodgers seems to like him. I would still, just historically with Rodgers, I would more or less stay away from him. But if you're in need of a tight end spot, you could just say, okay, sure, we can pick him up because it's not like the Packers have any other good receivers besides Devontae Adams, and it's not like they drafted one. I mean, probably wouldn't have helped this game.
Yeah. Okay, this is just Bears. Bears are 5-1. They're tied, right, with the division lead. Never imagined I would say that this year. Are they flukes or are they legit?
They're a total fluke. Well, I shouldn't say total fluke. I mean, they're actually leading the division. The Packers are 4-1. The Bears are 5-1. The Bears are probably one of the worst 5-1 teams in recent memory. realistically they should be like 3-3. They're just they have a bottom
scrappy. They're a scrappy team.
they have a bottom 3 starting quarterback in Nick Foles. And
Yeah.
while he is a rather massive upgrade from Mitch Trubisky, who was like just watching his tape is almost a torture session for me, which seems counterintuitive because I'm a Packers fan, but it just he had me pulling my hair out. Foles is at least competent, but he's nothing like special. I'd say he's almost hovering below the Dalton line.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like looking at the box score: 9-yard pass, field goal, 1-yard run, field goal.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be. If their defense breaks, they're screwed. But being said, their defense is playing pretty well, and it'll probably be the reason that they reach the playoffs. I mean, their offense is still not good. Let's be real, but their defense is amazing.
All right, Steelers Browns.
Okay.
I thought that would be closer, but the Steelers defense is just brutal. It's just don't play them.
Yeah, I barely I started Chase Claypool, like I picked him up off the street and started him in our main league, and he got 18 points for me, so that was nice. Although I benched Justin Jefferson, who had like 40.
Oh, I was high on him. I benched Jefferson in one of my money leagues for DJ Chark just because it's the Falcons, and the Falcons are absolute trash. Like, I don't know. It's just really good matchup for Jefferson. I don't think who's he playing next week.
I mean, to be fair, it looked like a lot of that came in garbage time because the Vikings. I haven't watched that game or anything, but just looking at the score, it looked like they kind of blew it.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think he's had a few. Let me pull up his stats for the past few weeks. He's Jefferson. I mean, yeah, he's kind of inconsistent. He had 4 points, 7 points, 30, 14, 5, 40. But I guess that's what you expect of a rookie wide receiver.
That's true. I'd imagine it'll stabilize as he gets more targets, where he and Kirk Cousins get more on the same page and all that, because he is I'd almost argue he's more just straight up talented than Adam Thielen, because man, why didn't the Packers trade up to get him? We drafted a quarterback, but anyway.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. Looking at his schedule, he has some pretty easy matchups with like.
Well, he plays the Packers week 8. That'll be a
Packers,
really easy matchup
Detroit, Dallas, Carolina, Jacksonville. Yeah, so like those are a lot of good matchups, but I think he's a player just his matchup. He shouldn't be starting every week for your team.
I think I might honestly just have to keep him in the lineup most weeks, just depending, and try to ride the highs and lows.
Yeah.
I might do that, although there's not a lot of room unless I move Claypool. So I guess.
Do you want to say your teams in this league?
Sorry, what?
Do you want to say your teams in this league? What they are?
Yeah, I have Kyler Murray at quarterback. I have Kamara and Josh Jacobs at running back, but they were both on a bye this week, so I had to scramble up to just pick a few guys up off the waiver wire. I have Chris Godwin, who played like his third game healthy and this season, and then Cooper Kupp, who at halftime has done nothing for me. And
yeah, I have Kupp, and he's disappointed me.
Yeah, and I have a rotation of TJ Hawkinson, Hunter Henry, and Noah Fant at tight end. I had to drop Fant because he was out today. And then I have Claypool and Jameson Crowder. We have 2 flex positions. I had both them starting today with Justin Jefferson on my bench. And I have Tyler Lockett and Devin Singletary and Chase Edmonds filling the rest of my bench.
Yeah, so this is an 18 league. So we're just not super good at fantasy, or we're not goated at fantasy with these teams. But my quarterback, I just stream quarterbacks, which I made a mistake. Right now, my running backs are Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, and Kenyon Drake. So like it was supposed to be a four-headed monster, but Drake really hasn't helped out. My wide receivers are AJ Brown, Allen Robinson, Debo Samuel, and Devontae Parker. My tight end right now, it's Darren Waller and Johnny Smith. And then my bench, Cam Akers, Malcolm Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and John Brown. But like, yeah.
Question: is Kenyon Drake dead to you?
I mean, right now he's still starting for me, but it's so disappointing. And like, I wish I could say I saw it coming, but like, I mean, obviously looking back, I noticed that like, if you look at his stats from last year, he had like some superhuman game, like 39 and 40 points, but he also had like a lot of duds in that like span that he went really good with like 5 points and 4 points. So I guess it's just he's been having more duds than misses this year. And it's like in hindsight, this is easy to see, but like this or like preseason, you couldn't really see that for most people.
And what I don't even think that Kenyon is due for a boom. I can't even say that because Chase Edmonds has been outpacing him in the passing game. Let me see. Drake has had 6 targets all year. That's right, 6. Chase Edmonds has 23.
I don't know. I remember I was talking about how I was scared of Hopkins because of Drake, but I think it's the other way around because Hopkins is a PPR god. I think he's on pace to break like the single reception record or something in the season.
I mean, yeah, imagine trading that away. Wow.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks isn't being half bad.
True. I mean, but like you don't. Anyway, Arizona got a monumental steal, and I'm kind of in an awkward position because on Monday night I have Kyler Murray playing. Right now, I have a only 38% chance to win because Cooper Kupp is useless right now. But I have Kyler Murray, but my opponent has DeAndre Hopkins, so it's just one of those really weird.
You could root for Kyler to throw to Christian Kirk or something.
Oh yeah, Christian. He's gonna throw to DeAndre Hopkins like 15 times this.
Yeah, Kirk
against
is
the Cowboys.
I hate Kirk. I have such high hopes for him every year, and then he fails me for the past 2 years.
Yeah, Kirk. I like Kirk a lot too, and he's just one of those guys who's never really had their breakouts. Kind of like Chicago, Anthony Miller, who looks like he's getting his
What's his
breakout.
name?
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney. I picked him up in a few leagues just because the Bears drafted him. The Bears have had no receivers, so I thought he would be a good flyer. And like, I don't think he's worthy of a start in standard leagues, but I think he's someone to keep your eyes on for sure.
In Dynasty, you should probably pick him up because he is a really good receiver. I keep bringing up the Packers draft, but you can't tell me this wouldn't have been better than drafting a backup running back in the second round. But
who's not even doing anything?
He's not getting he doesn't even get the goal line carries, which is like, why did we draft this running back? I mean, AJ Dillon, don't get me wrong, he looks like he will be a good player, but why? Okay.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, and the fullback towards the ACL or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, we won't be able to really tell with him. The reason they drafted him was because they want to copy the Niners and they wanted their Kyle Juszczyk as
third round though.
He's not like a full conversion to fullback, which he's kind of a tight end fullback hybrid at this point. And I think if you knew you were getting Kyle Juszczyk, who's the best fullback in the league, the earliest you take,
I still wouldn't spend a third on him.
The earliest you would take Kyle Juszczyk in like a whole if you knew for a fact you were getting Kyle Juszczyk, would maybe be 4th, 5th round.
Yeah, like fullbacks. Yeah, it depends on the system. Most of the times, they're not that worth it.
I don't understand why they were so afraid that he wouldn't be there when they picked next in the 5th round. But
I guess before we go, Monday night is Cardinals Cowboys. Do you have any? What's your score prediction? Do you have any bold predictions for tomorrow?
score predictions.
And any bold predictions?
I want to see what the over under is 55. Now this seems almost too easy, but the over is probably might just get shattered because the Cowboys
that's 27 points per team though.
The Cowboys defense is a dumpster fire, and the Cardinals defense is not very good either. And I think we're finally going to see Kyler Murray have us a real 3 to 4 touchdown type of game.
Yeah, my score prediction, let's see. I think it's going to be 27-24 Cowboys. I think Andy Dalton's going to lead them to a pretty good game, but I think my bold prediction is DeAndre Hopkins is going to shred the Cowboys defense.
Well, he shreds any defense.
He's going to shred them particularly.
Well, yeah. If I had to predict score, I would probably say something 34-31 Cardinals. I would still I would maybe bet on the Cardinals. Well, I probably wouldn't. I just don't have a really good feel for who's going to win this game. I think it'll be
it's gonna be a fun game to watch. But yeah, that's all for this week. I have to go. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks for listening.